Peace. Islam family, it's your brother Coop. Coming back at you one more again. Um, so this particular cipher, you know what I'm saying, I want to talk about the split that I have recognized that has taken place, you know what I'm saying, between uh, honestly all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know, not any one organization or group of Moors, you know what I'm saying, is above or stands above all other groups, you know what I'm saying, who proclaim and declare themselves to be Moorish Americans. Moorish American is in a group, like a Boy Scout club. You know what I'm saying? It's not like joining a fraternity. It has nothing to do with the sort. That's more along the lines of like masonry. You know what I'm saying? When you join groups to benefit. Being a Moorish American is not about joining a group. It's about being who you are, and who you are is what your foremothers and your forefathers were, without doubt or contradiction. And they were Moorish Americans. Let me rephrase that. They were Moors, right? So now to geographically identify with who we are as Moors, because we're Moors all across the planet. So therefore, we got to geographically identify with where we're at, Moorish American. All right. So that being said, we really have to comprehend, man, that there is no argument, there is no debate between us as Moors. The Prophet wasn't a one-minded man. He didn't just think very small-mindedly about the movement. He was thinking of the movement in a way where and he can tap in and affect all minds, not just a particular group. All minds. That's why he said this is a universal. Um, uh, uh, um, this is a universal process, a universal truth, a universal salvation for our people. So it don't matter, you know what I'm saying, whether you're part of a temple or not, or if you're in a temple, you know what I'm saying, or whether you're out the temple, it don't matter. As long as you proclaim and declare that you are Moorish American, that's the first step. Now, the second important step is nations are not by themselves. A nation is not made of one soul or one individual. A nation is made of multitude. People amongst people amongst people amongst people. That's a nation. So, in order to truly be a nation state, you got to have an organization. You got to have an institution in which you secure and preserve all of your sacred teachings, your educational science, your education, your mathematics, your sciences, your literature, your art. You know what I'm saying? Everything that we produce as tangible and intangible commodities or properties, that should be the baseline. So when we talk about proclaim and declare our nationality, we're supposed to do that as a group, as a family. There's no organization that can do that for you. There's no organization that can bestow your birthright upon you. You have to do that upon yourself. Then you link with like-minded individuals who are doing the same. Then you form yourself into a body politic, also known as a state. That's all a state is, a body politic. All right? So if we keep going down this path of just bashing each other and saying these Moors are with the Prophet, these Moors are not with the Prophet, when we all agree that the Prophet brought us back what we needed to get right, you know what I'm saying? There's no argument. Because even the Prophet, see, this is what you gotta understand. Who told the Prophet he was a Moor? How did the Prophet know he was a Moor? Was that knowledge not given to him? Right? So the history of Moors did not begin, nor does it end with the Prophet. One of many prophets that came to show a message. Now, I will admit, none came with the message like Prophet Drew Ali brought. Respect. But you're not going to sit here and convince me that we as a people, known as Moors, did not exist before the Prophet. Ages before the Prophet. Cycles before the Prophet. Okay? We were in existence. This government was in existence prior to the Prophet, Drew Ali to be specific. So I kind of feel like it's a little bit of an insult to our ancient ancestors in the history, because the Prophet is in honor of the same ancestors, right? That we're supposed to be showing honor to. But we choose, I feel like, so this is where I feel like the split takes place, because I feel like certain Moors choose to just honor the Prophet and then not look at any other history or people that came prior to the Prophet. Even the Prophet said acknowledge all other prophets. We're not just supposed to focus on him. We're supposed to expand outwards and realize that there was a government here prior. Go back to the ancient thoughts of your foremothers and forefathers. The Prophet didn't say go back to his. The Prophet didn't say think like him. He said go back to the thoughts of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. Go back. Go back. So what he's saying is it doesn't start with me. So if it doesn't start with me, right? How can the Prophet, or how can someone claim that the Prophet can take away your nationality and your birthrights when it didn't begin with the Prophet in the first place? How can you take away something that you didn't create? The Prophet didn't create nationality. What the Prophet created was the Moorish Science Temple of America to teach us about our birthrights and nationality, so that we can organize into proper constitutional politics, body politics, and help ourselves in the great work of uplifting fallen humanity. Because we need what? Finances. You know what finance is? Because I used to think finance was just like money, or energy. Finance is not energy. Finance is the management of energy. So when the Prophet said I need finance, it's not like he's saying, yo, I need notes. What he's saying is I need the proper management of these notes to get what we need to get done. Because we're never in lack. It never is we don't have. Don't you realize that according to the GDP, black people, from last year's GDP, black African Americans spent over $2 trillion. $2 trillion. Or I should say spent over 2 trillion notes. All right? So trust me, the economy is based off of us, whether we're conscious of it or not. So the Prophet was never under a misunderstanding that we broke. He knew that. What he said is we need finance. We need to learn how to manage the funds that we bring in, because we're always the source of things. But if we don't know that, and we act and we look outside of self and look at other nations and other states and other peoples as being what we need, then we'll never find our own solution, because my answer ain't your answer. Because my problem ain't your problem. My equation ain't your equation. Two different equations. Okay? Principles, similar principles may be able to apply, but how you get to the root or solution is going to be different. And we need to keep that in mind. But I don't feel like we're really looking for understanding. It's kind of more like, well, if you don't rock with how I feel like it's supposed to be rocked with, then I can't rock with you. And it ain't supposed to be like that. We're supposed to be open with one another. We're supposed to be able to talk. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like you're part of the MSTFA Inc., I don't feel why we still can't be family. It's just that you choose to do business a certain way. I choose to do business a certain way. We're still coming from the same source, though, right? Because no tree, or I should say no plants grow the same way. They do grow in the same direction, though, which is up, but they don't grow the same way. So why can't we add the same principles that we apply to plants and not apply it to ourselves when we are living plants? It just confuses me. We'll understand the plant or the animal kingdom and see how everything functions and coexists, but we won't apply them same principles to ourselves. And then we're going to look at the animals and say that we're superior to them, or that we have dominion over them, when we can't even take the simple construct of how they coexist and apply it to our own, to better our own existence here, as the ones who have dominion over everything. It's confusing. So now we got back and forth. Different organizations. One organization, no, you're not part of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You're not authorized by Prophet Drew Ali. Yo, do you realize that anyone who declares to be, who declares to the world that they are more, no one put a gun to their head to do that. No one put a knife to their neck. You know what I'm saying? No one put a knife in their back. No one threatened to hurt anybody. No one threatened to hurt any of their family members to do that. They did that. We did that from free will and understanding and comprehension and using our five senses to see that, oh, this is truth. You know what I'm saying? So, what's wrong with that? We all see the truth. We see what the prophet left. So why can't we just apply what we can see and learn how to coexist? Why is it not enough that we all acknowledge and show respect and reverence and honor the fact that that red flag with the 5-pointed green star is our national flag? It's crazy because we all agree on that, but for some reason we still want to punch and fight and go back and forth with each other. But yeah, we all agree that this is our national flag. But then you're going to say that we're not following the prophet, but yet we're all under this flag. This is not a Boy Scouts group. Okay? No one is forcing us to declare and proclaim that we are Moors. This is from free will. This is from the heart. This is from Allah. So when you ask questions like who authorized you to do such things, who authorized you to make moves? Allah authorized me. The same Allah that authorized the Prophet Drew Ali. Who told Drew Ali to set up a Canaanite temple in 1913? Huh? Wasn't it not Allah? The thought of Allah, born in flesh, that gave him the authority to do that? So now why do we, the thought of Allah, born in flesh, need authority from another man to do the same? Or authority from another Allah born in flesh? Are you not the Allah born in flesh? But if we're not following certain groups or sects, then we're not in alignment with the Prophet. And the Prophet wasn't about steps. The Prophet was about the process. Being very specific in how to function and operate. This is why he left everything, how he filed the Moorish Science Temple of America, how he established the organization, the mission of the organization. All this is public record. This is not being hidden from anyone. So it just confuses me as to why we still make time to bash each other and argue with each other about principles when we all agree at the end of the day that we're all the Aboriginal peoples here, that this is Morocco, this is the Maghrib al-Aqsa, Morocco of the extreme west, the heartland, the Moorish Empire. We all come to agreements of that, but for some reason, we're still going back and forth. Rather than putting our brains together, or putting our minds together, and elevating or manifesting something that actually helps or gives solutions to our actual problems. But we just want to go back and forth and treat the shit like it's a debate. This is why we get nowhere. This is why you got tons of groups, you know what I'm saying, that do things differently, but then they'll say if we're not rocking with how they do things, we're not rocking with the Prophet. But then we're looking at them like, yo, like the Prophet didn't say nothing about, for instance, naturalizing. The Prophet didn't say nothing about naturalizing. When did you ever hear the Prophet write in literature to say you need to naturalize? You see what I'm saying? So the Prophet said, do as he did, right? So you know what the Prophet did? The Prophet created an organization, made it specifically for Aboriginal peoples or Autochthon peoples, misnomered Negro, black colors, African Americans, etc. Then he drew up a charter, also known as a constitution. It's called the Divine Constitution and Bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You understand what I'm saying? What's up? Okay, I'm coming. You know what I'm saying? You got the Constitution and Bylaws of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's the charter. You know what he did with that charter? He formulated a group of people to form a body. They all agreed to these. They signed, right? Had the Constitution certified, filed it in the Library of Congress. Then you know what they did? Then the Prophet established or registered the Moorish Science Temple of America with the Secretary of State of Illinois under the 805, right? As an ecclesiastical body, politic, and corporate. Religious Corporation Act. All right? So, understanding that this is how he did it, didn't he say, do what I do? So, maybe you should formulate your own group body politic, have your own divine constitution, or align yourself with the divine constitution, because there's no need to recreate the wheel. It's already been created. You need to attach yourself to it so you can get rolling, because you're stagnant. You're like a square. You're trying to get into the wheel so you can start rolling, right? But you blocked off right now because your squares are edged off too sharp. You see what I'm saying? This is why the prophet said, do as I do. He registered his organization with who? The Secretary of State. Have their own charter, own constitution, own bylaws, own identification. And then they're still operating with federal. So why are we not doing what the prophet did? Oh, but when we do what the prophet did, we're not following the prophet. Because the National Association of Moorish Affairs is a legit organization. You see what I'm saying? The Great Seal, that's a governmental organization under the prophet. But that's registered with the Secretary of State. We're following the divine bylaws and constitutions. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what is the issue? Or are we just doing this for ratings, for attention? Vampires need blood to eat. They need energy. They can't live without energy. The beautiful thing about us is we get our energy from the sun that happily gives it to us. We don't gotta coerce the sun. We don't gotta, make a plot or set up the sun. The sun just rises and just shines. We don't gotta beg the sun to give us energy. It gives it to us happily. We don't gotta beg the plants or the fruits to grow. They grow happily. We don't gotta beg them to fall off the tree so we can eat them. They do that happily. Vampires, they gotta plot and trick and lie to get your energy, because you never give your energy willingly to vampires. And that's just the truth of it. That's just the truth of it. So stop giving your energy to vampires. See things for what they are and move forward. And like the prophet said, do as I did. So your authority is the fact that your mind is going back to the ways of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. You are your ancient foremothers and forefathers. That's where our authority comes from. I am the authority, because I am Moorish American. And that's all I got to say on that, family. You know what I'm saying? That's the comprehension we need to come to and build, because we can still work with one another and build under what the prophet left. We may have our own views. It doesn't mean we gotta throw each other in the fire. We can still coexist, like the plants, like the animals. Learn your role, your position, and rock out with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And how about we show some goddamn equality to each other too? Why can't we put some respect on each other? Just because our views don't agree don't mean we gotta bash each other and name call each other. Huh? Come on now. Let's get it right, y'all. Peace, family. My brother Cool.